I'm Cass, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be talking about some misconceptions about Wicca that I keep seeing over and over, repeated by people who think that they know something, and in actuality it's a complete misconception. I'm really tired of seeing it, and so I'm just going to make this long YouTube video, so I hope you guys all enjoy. My first misconception is going to be a big one for a lot of you guys, and it's probably my most notable one. Number one misconception I see is that all of Wicca is cultural appropriation and all of it is stolen. And that is outright not true. If you go look at the Gardnerian Book of Shadows, it's a published PDF. It is free. You won't see half of the cultural appropriation that I keep seeing repeated over and over. You won't. And also, I want to point out that when self-initiations became a thing, people could start adding whatever they wanted, right? So a lot of that cultural appropriation that you see is actually a problem with the individual and an issue with the individual coven, and not an issue with the religion as a whole, if that makes any sort of sense. I see a lot of people talk about smudging as their number one issue, and Wicca doesn't even do anything similarly to that. If you go look at the rituals that have been published in the Gardnerian Book of Shadows and the rituals that are published in the Alexandrian Book of Shadows, which I will be including in the description of this video, you don't see anything even similar to smudging. It's not there. I don't know what more I could possibly say aside from it's just outright not there. I also hear people saying that Wicca as a whole appropriates voodoo. And a lot of you guys are thinking about the Kat Reston incident that happened a few years back, where Kat Reston claimed that she was a Wiccan and then tried to use voodoo to kill her black ex-girlfriend, and then she died a horrible, tragic death. A lot of you guys are thinking about Kat Reston when you think of that. I have not been provided any specific examples as to what Wicca appropriates from voodoo, aside from, well, look at Kat Reston, and this isn't me trying to denounce her. She was obviously doing a horrible thing, and as a whole, we need to be better and be accountable and make sure that we try to prevent that shit from happening again within our community. However, it is not accurate to say that Wicca as a whole appropriates voodoo. That's not true. It's just outright untrue. Does Wicca have its problems in it? Absolutely. Absolutely we do. 110%. Absolutely. But with that being said, when people outside of the community try to call out what the problems are, they very frequently misidentify the problems. And y'all just aren't accurate. I'm going to ask that y'all leave a lot of the, this is a problem with the whole religion versus this is a problem with this one individual, to the Wiccan community, because y'all have proven to me repeatedly that y'all do not know what individual sects believe versus what the religion as a whole believes. And so since y'all have proven to that, or, oh my God, I can't talk. But since y'all have proven that to me and many other members of my community over and over again, I'm just going to ask that y'all just say this is cultural appropriation and leave it at that, and not come for the entire religion, because y'all prove to me repeatedly that y'all don't know what you're talking about. And at this point, it's kind of obnoxious, and it doesn't let me focus on the actual issues within the actual structure of the religion. It doesn't let you even focus on that because y'all are loud and wrong on these other things. And I just don't know what else to ask for that. Like, just point it out, say that's cultural appropriation. Don't do that. That's on the individual or the individual's coven. Very frequently, it is not on the religion itself. Second misconception that I notice is people like to say that we all believe in the Threefold Law, which is not true. The Threefold Law was actually an add-on in the 70s, and while most Wiccans I know believe in it, I personally don't follow it, and I know many others who don't. The tenet that is similar, that is universal to all of Wicca, is "and harm none, do what ye will." That's the universal one. Threefold Law was an add-on. I personally don't abide by it because I don't think it matches with the laws of physics. Am I going to respect other people who do? Absolutely. But with that being said, that is not actually an all-arcing Wiccan thing. That can come down to the individual within the religion. I personally follow an and harm none policy, which is the original one. Now, what's the difference between an and harm none policy and a threefold law policy? So threefold means whatever you put out into the world will come back to you threefold. And I get the concept, however, I don't think that it matches with the laws of physics. And I think metaphysics also plays into physics. So I personally don't follow that one because you cannot create or destroy energy. And so that's why I don't follow that one personally. At this point, we would have so much energy just from people doing basic things to where I don't think that that law can be true. But I do follow an and harm none policy, which means to me that I'm going to do whatever action harms the least amount of people and causes the least amount of suffering. So a lot of Wiccans will take this phrase as, most Wiccans I know take this phrase as, I don't do baneful magic. I personally don't, and there's nothing outright banning baneful magic. There's nothing that outright bans it entirely. And it's kind of complicated and weird. In the Gardnerian Book of Shadows, when they're discussing cursing and baneful magic and that kind of stuff, they're talking about being afraid of the Christian God. They're talking about being afraid of him. And how his followers may react if we were not being love and light and all kind. However, right now, I think that witchcraft as a whole is more accepted, and I do not have that fear of Christians. So I have no problem doing what I need to do to ensure that the least amount of harm is taken. For example, and trigger warning for all y'all who are going to be upset by this, sexual assault type stuff, just skip this part real quick. You can skip like a few seconds forward. I don't care. But anyways, you've had ample time to skip. So nevertheless, the way I see it is that if there is a rapist and you have reasonable suspicion to think that he will do it again, and you have exhausted all mundane options, or mundane options will hurt other people more than this option will, I personally believe that you would be doing more harm by not cursing the fuck out of him. And that's kind of how I believe. That's my personal stance. Other Wiccans are going to disagree with that and say don't be part of any harm. And I understand that viewpoint. However, I personally see and harm none as an ideal that I should strive to live by. However, in our flawed society and in our flawed world, I don't see it as a true and genuine possibility. Sometimes you have to get your hands dirty and hurt one person to save others. And that's kind of the way I see it. I also just don't see how, as a religion, so many of us can see beauty in all of these things that are opposite from each other, such as the horned god and the triple goddess and that kind of thing. I don't get how we can see the beauty in that, but not see the beauty in baneful magic when we see the beauty in healing. I just don't. And so that's up to the individual, a lot more than a lot of you guys think. And if you'll read the books, you will see. Finally, the last misconception that I want to address is about the Wheel of the Year and how the specific dates were chosen. Just because I've seen a lot of arguing back and forth, and a lot of people seem to think it's completely arbitrary, and I mean, common sense tells you that it's not. You look at the solstices and the equinoxes, you pick the day right exactly in between them, and you get all of the major Sabbats. That's not arbitrary. You're celebrating the seasons with each Sabbat. You're celebrating the earth and what it's given to you and what it will give to you. You're celebrating the light and all of this stuff. We also do have our own lore attached to each season, and we have our own mythology attached to each Sabbat. And they're all kind of revolving around what is going on with the earth at that time of year. That's also why they flip dates if you go down to Australia or somewhere on the southern hemisphere. It's because it's a celebration of what's going on with the earth right now. That's it. And I just see huge misconceptions with that and all of those dates and stuff. And I'm like, it's just, you're celebrating what's going on with the earth at a certain time. There are certain rituals for it. There are certain correspondences with everything that's going on with the earth that time of year. However, with that being said, the Sabbats are primarily to celebrate what is going on with the earth at that time. We're an earth-based religion, so honestly, that should be expected. So anyways, thank you guys all for watching. If y'all have any more misconceptions or opinions, I guess, on us that you would like to share, by all means, comments are open, and I'd be happy to address them if y'all want a part 2 or anything like that. Thank you and goodbye.